Hello, I'm Reverend Carmen Frederick, Associate Pastor of Trinity United Church of Christ. My primary role is to work with the teens of Trinity and family ministries of Trinity. We recently traveled to Berlin, Germany, with a group of 4 youth from Trinity United Church of Christ, which you'll be introduced to in just a few moments. Our trip was to ride a bike trail along the Berlin Wall and then to have discussions about what the Berlin Wall, how the historical impact of the Berlin Wall might affect our lives as young people, as just African American people here in the United States. Our experience included riding bikes again pretty much every day, spending time with host families, attending worship services in the city of Berlin, as well as experiencing the culture and the food of Germany.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Carmen. And now, you introduce yourself, please.
My name is Joshua Chapman. I'm 17. I'm going to my senior year at Lindblom Math and Science Academy.
Okay, and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Kari Armster. I am 16 years old. I am about to be a junior at Whitney Young Magnet High School.
My name is Khalil Bentley. I'm 17 years old. I'm going to be a senior at Mount Carmel High School.
My name is Indigo Timms. I will be a sophomore in the fall at the University of Kentucky.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay, well, thank you for those introductions. And I'm Janice, SkychiTravels, and this is the Skychi Travel Guide Live. And I'm happy to have you join us.
That's what
Hang up. Have you done?
yeah, I would directly with the simultaneous now something else.
Hmm? But it says we're having difficulties. What the heck?
Would it help if she had like the Sprint card or Wi-Fi?
With a hotspot, you mean, kind of thing? Would that help, like a hotspot or something?
It could. I mean, if it could give a stronger signal than what I have.
Let me go see if I can get that. What do you? How's your signal coming? Not
I have 3 bars. Well, actually, it's on.
you want to go with it, or do you?
Yeah. We're live.
Oh. We switched back around now too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. There we go.
Is this a separate one?
You should so.
Okay.
I look 6. It's okay.
You look sick?
Yeah,
6.
6?
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Oh, wait. Now the Trinity is gone.
It'll come in maybe in like 20 years.
How?
If I look 19 when I'm 40, I'll be
That's
happy.
true.
Oh, yeah. You'll look good.
I don't appreciate looking.
I look 12 for the
If you wanted
longest.
live, I would say.
TUCC Chicago. What was the rest?
Chicago
Trinity, Chicago,
Oh.
TUCC, Chicago.
Did you see a thing about the man too?
I have not.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah,
I thought you were about to say something positive about it.
No.
I don't see the point.
Okay, it flipped now. All right,
Khalil,
so
to start, or do we start from the
You
beginning?
just start all over.
it said it was resuming.
Oh,
Have you done it where it resumed?
No, I haven't done it, but I mean.
Let's do it all over again just in case. It's better safe than sorry.
Hello, I'm Reverend Carmen Frederick from Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. I am the Associate Pastor to Families and Teens here at Trinity, and we're here today with a group of teens that I work with, and that we have recently just returned from Berlin, Germany, and a few other suburbs of Germany. We went primarily as a cultural exchange from our church and partnership with our national church offices and the denomination in Berlin, Germany called the UEK. Our experience included bike travel along the Berlin Wall. It included staying with host families, some roughing it, as we call it, camping in schools and churches. And it included a lot of, in addition to the places that we stayed in, it included a lot of, I would say, inspirational, spiritual, and physical challenges that happened during the trip. The primary purpose of with young people, as well as to have discussions about. Here's one of our youth.
My name is Joshua Chapman. I'm 17. I attend Lindblom Math and Science Academy, and I'm going into my senior year.
My name is Kari Armster. I am 16 years old, and I'm going into my junior year at Whitney Young Magnet High School.
My name is Khalil Bentley. I'm 17 years old. I'm going to be a senior at Mount Carmel High School.
My name is Indigo Timms. I'm 19 years old, and I'll be a sophomore at the University of Kentucky.
Hi, this is Janice, SkychiTravels with the Skychi Travel Guide Live. And we have a show every Travel Tuesday on UBM Talk. And we are just excited to have this inspirational group, Reverend Carmen and the TUCC Chicago Youth, joining us. We'd like to hear a little bit about what your expectations were before you left for Berlin, Germany.
I didn't have a lot of expectations going into the trip. I was expecting the food to be like what what I saw on TV or whatever, the bratwurst or the sausage and sauerkraut and that kind of stuff. But it was actually it was actually a lot pretty simple food, and I found that as a picky eater, I really enjoyed that. So Other than that, I didn't really know what I was heading into. This was my first international travel, so I didn't really know what to expect.
My main, sorry.
Great English.
No, it's okay. Say your name again, Corey.
Sorry,
That's fine.
my name is Kari. My main expectations were directed towards the World Cup. Um, Obviously, that was the time in which Germany was facing against Argentina in the final game of the World Cup. So I was expecting a lot of noise, a lot of celebration. And the area had Germany won, in which they did, but it was actually a lot quieter than I expected it to be, mainly because we were not in the city itself of Berlin, but more on the outskirts of it. So that was just one expectation of mine that didn't go completely as I thought it would. But again, as Joshua said, it's my first international flight, so I just wanted to see what they had to offer. I wasn't going to assume anything.
Like Joshua, I really had no expectations, not really knowing what I was going into. Um, Again, not really having any expectations, it left a lot for a surprise. Uh, it was a great experience, and like Kari said, I did expect it to be a lot noisier and in Berlin after they won the World Cup, but it was actually pretty quieter than expected.
Going into it, this is my first international trip also. Going into it, my host was 18 years old, so I guess my expectations were really just to see how we compared as teens, young adults, young female adults from different sides of the world to see what comparisons we had. And I also was interested in the style of housing that Berlin had or Germany had, like how their bedrooms differed from ours, where there TVs in every room, how their families ate dinner together and things like that. And I found out that it was a lot different. The families eat dinner and breakfast together no matter what or who has to do what. Their beds are a lot different than ours. They love keeping their windows open. A lot of their houses are modern on the inside but older on the outside. I was just really interested in the architecture, so yeah.
Fantastic. Those are great insights that you guys are sharing. And so can you tell us a little bit more about the foods that you tried, Joshua? What did you like specifically?
Yeah, there was this one like fast food called Duna, and it was I don't know what meat it was. I don't know if it was like lamb or beef. Or it was lamb. Yeah, so I think it was lamb, and they basically had this like huge chunk of meat, and they'll slice it really thin and put that in a warmed up pita bread, and then they'll put like vegetables and like lettuce and cucumbers and red cabbage and all that in it. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that. And they said that was like their unhealthy food, which was probably like the healthiest fast food I've eaten. So that really like that surprised me, but it was really good. I like that.
Okay, thank you, Joshua. And Corey, what foods did you like?
Ooh, that Duna was definitely pretty good. I had to ask my host family to allow me to have one more before I left. Thankfully, that it was able to happen. I definitely liked that. There was also another fast food that was called curry sausage.
Currywurst.
Currywurst.
Yeah, currywurst.
Okay, sorry. It's kind of like a German version of American like cut up sausage and then some ketchup and then curry seasoning. That was pretty tasty. I enjoyed that as well.
Okay. And Khalil?
I
Hold the
tried,
mic to your mouth for me.
yeah, I ended up trying the currywurst. It was really good. Basically, it's a bratwurst chopped up into pieces. They put ketchup on it and a layer of curry. It was really good.
Okay. And Indigo?
My family cooked for me the first Sunday that we were there a popular meal called schnitzel, which is just fried pork chop and chopped up carrots and potatoes. And I didn't think they were going to season it right, but it was really good. Like, I thought it was chicken. I really thought it was chicken. And then their gelato was really good. We got corrected. We thought it was ice cream, but it's gelato. It was really.
So what's the
really
difference
good.
between
I have no
ice cream
idea.
and gelato? Okay.
I guess gelato is just more smoother. I'm not really sure. It tasted the same to me, but it was really good.
Okay.
That's
And
gelato.
Reverend Carmen, what dishes did you like?
Well, I think the biggest thing I noticed is their breakfasts are very different. Their breakfasts are not like, pancake, sausage, bacon, eggs, or anything. It's more of a continental style breakfast, which included very fresh rolls. That was a must, which is great for me. I love fresh bread. And then a lot of times kind of that lox and bagel because I primarily eat fish. So we would have salmon, fresh salmon, or smoked salmon at breakfast time, and that was one of the things I liked. And of course, every restaurant they wanted to take us to, because again, being in Germany, and Germany is known for its beer, that was the biggest thing that they talked about was their beer, as well as the at the beer they did have, whenever there was a place that had beer, it was lots of sausages, as they've already mentioned, the sauerkrauts, the bratwurst, and the currywurst that they mentioned. And they do actually have what they call a currywurst ketchup. So it's you can buy it in stores, and it is ketchup with curry in it as a spice. So I didn't get to try all those, but I watched as everyone else did. So I think the biggest thing for me was the breakfast, just how the breakfast was a little more, and it was fresh fruit. That was something else too that we were able to, and Indigo actually spoke of it. She was like, I've never been able to, we were riding along a trail and we stopped and picked plums off of a tree and ate them fresh off a tree. So it was kind of nice to be in a place as well. And so it wasn't just like along the roads. If you went into almost everyone's backyard, I don't know about you guys, if you went into your host family's homes, there was a fresh fruit tree in their backyard, as it kind of used to be, and then we'd have fresh fruit and flowers. So that was probably the biggest thing, breakfast and the fresh fruit, in addition to watching all the sausages.
Okay, wonderful.
schnitzels.
Thank you. So I'd like to hear a little bit about, I guess, the landmarks or historical places that you visited. Who would like to start off first? Reverend Carmen?
Well, the primary trip was along the former Berlin Wall, so we rode our bikes along what used to be the Berlin Wall. So we stopped at significant spots along the wall. I'll let them tell you about which ones they most remember, but the one that was most impressing upon me was a place called the Temple of Reconciliation, and it was just really within feet of where the former Berlin Wall used to be. And it was a temple that was built in a circular shape with artwork that just really emphasized the need for peace and reconciliation. And when you visited inside, the prayer or the request was just that you took time to go inside and pray for things that would lead to reconciliation and peace. And so that was one of the things that was most impressive to me. If they don't say some others, then I'll say.
Okay.
So one place I really remember was the watchtower that we, it was on our first day, and there was a watchtower between, I don't know if it was East Berlin and West Berlin. I know it was, I think it was next to the river, and that's what separated the two, I think. But I just remember that because I remember the guy came out and he had like an America T-shirt on. He had like the states on it, and he was real friendly and everything. And one of the things he said was, "I thank your grandfathers and your great grandfathers for what they did to help us. They like dropped chocolate and food and that kind of stuff." So he's like, "I thank you guys, you and your ancestors for that." And I thought that was really cool. And then I remember just being, you could tell very clearly in Berlin where the actual wall was, because there was like two bricks or cobblestones that would make a path, and they were right next to each other. So I thought, like, actually being able to put my foot there and go, back and forth, that was pretty cool, because 20 years ago you couldn't have done that. And I just thought that was really cool. That was prominent throughout all of Berlin, and they kind of want you to remember it and know why this is there, and remember that this was there and this city used to be divided, but now it's one Berlin. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
I definitely enjoyed seeing the former Berlin Wall and all the art and the graffiti that was put on there.
The East Side Gallery.
Right, right. The wall itself, and also in the East Side Gallery, which I was also about to mention next after this, because it gave me a feeling of what was going on through people's heads during those times back then. How it was just nearly impossible to be able to get past the wall, get over the wall without being threatened or potentially shot. So it would, and we saw that a little bit through the East Side Monument Gallery.
Yeah,
Gallery. I'm sorry, gallery. So it was just a nice learning experience with those two monuments and galleries.
Can I say something real quick? Yeah, I just remember the East Side Gallery, and I remember seeing the car that was painting on one portion of the wall, and I remember like seeing that in like one of my old history classes. I remember seeing that in like books, and we saw that in a YouTube video that was shot in like 1980 in the 80s when they were starting to tear down the wall, and they were putting stuff, initially putting paintings on the wall, and I remember standing next to it, and it's like, wow, this was like really a part of history. People were sitting on this the moment that the wall came down. Like that's really cool. Like I never expected to be in that place, and so that's one of the that was also one of the cooler moments. That's something I'm definitely gonna remember.
Yeah, as previously mentioned, the East Side Gallery, it was a really great moment. It was really something to see if you were ever in Germany. And just walking down there and seeing all the pieces of artwork, how people decided to express themselves and what they put on that wall before it could be torn down. And I just took many pictures so I could show it to people, show them all the many different artworks, show them what's there, what people put on there.
My most memorable monument was near the temple. There was a memorial that kind of had people's personal stories right when the wall went up, and where we were standing was a house, and basically the house was in the middle of the wall, and there were stories about people running out of their front door to get past the wall, and I thought that was just so crazy that literally people couldn't leave their front doors or they'll be shot because they'll be on the other side of Germany or Berlin. And I also thought it was cool because we went through mostly the entire path. You could see how the demographics changed where the city was split. So being downtown Berlin was a lot different. I think we were at West Berlin at the end of the week. You could just tell like how the both sides of the city developed differently because they were divided. So they had no context. So it was like two different cities developed differently. It was kind of crazy. It was kind of being in Chicago and just going through the different neighborhoods.
Wow, that's fascinating. I just wanted to comment on what Joshua said about seeing. You said it was a car that you saw in a history book,
like a Volkswagen or something on there.
And it was okay. So a Volkswagen was painted on the wall, and you saw that in the history book, and then you saw it live.
And I was standing next to it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and you never expected to see something that you saw in a history book in another country, right? So
well, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
it was just kind of a real experience. Like I wouldn't say I never expected to, but like it doesn't hit you until the moment that you're actually standing next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was a part of history. This was something I actually saw on YouTube and on TV, and this is like that's just like a little bit mind-boggling. Like I guess it would be like standing next to the Eiffel Tower, right? You would expect at some point in your life to see it, but when you're actually there, it's just like, wow, this is the actual Eiffel Tower. This is this is everything that I've seen or whatever. Like it's so just being there and seeing that one particular thing, one I could clearly identify, it was just like, wow, that's crazy. I never, it was just a sort of an unreal moment for me.
Okay. And Reverend Carmen?
I just started to think also about two of the churches that we visited. One of them was St. Nicholas, and it was one of our last days, and we actually climbed from the first floor through the roof to where the church bell was, and we got to hear it ring. It was a very hot day, and at the top of it, we got to see the whole city of. You could go around, and I took video. You got to look out and see like the temples, and you could see some of the rooftops that had actually been damaged by the wars and the World War II, but they were still holding on to those. So that was pretty pretty surreal to me to look at the entire city. In addition to hearing some of our young people say, "You didn't tell us we were going to have to climb this high." That was pretty exciting for me to see.
I don't think we were that fluid when we were talking. It's like, you didn't tell us.
Oh, that's pretty funny. You guys are pretty winded. So did you learn any German phrases? Anybody remember any German phrases? Oh, you're the German speaker in the group, Corey?
Go ahead, Kari. What did you learn? So one of the phrases I learned was "Duna macht Tuna," which means eating tuna makes you look good. So I definitely tried to get in as many as I could over there. But yeah, just the kind of the basis. I know vielleicht is maybe, 9 is no. That was a big one. Yeah.
Said that every day.
If I hear it or if I hear it, I think I can remember it. It's not coming off the top of my head because I've been back home for 2 days now and I haven't really had to use it. But there's others that I know if I heard it.
For me, it's just basic words or phrases. Hello, thank you.
Okay, so what's hello in German?
Hello is hallo, spelled Hallo. Thank you is danke. Good morning, guten Morgen. Good night, guten Nacht. And what's a guten Nacht? It's pretty much right there.
Okay, very good, very good.
Yeah, just those pretty much basics.
Okay. Khalil?
Hold
it up.
Yeah, pretty much learned the same basic words that Kari used.
Bastistas.
Oh,
yeah. What is that word?
Bastistas.
What is
What is that?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I pretty much learned the same thing that Kari learned because we're in the same house. Although he didn't say what our host brother would say for yes and no. He never used the normal yes and no.
What did the host brother use?
He would usually say yaha and nahai.
Like to us, it's nah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So me and my host had this like silent agreement that every time I told her an English word, she would tell it to me in German. So I can't remember all the words, but some of them stuck to me. She didn't know that towel was called towel, and she said it was her favorite word, and it ended up that towel in German is Handtuch, and I just thought that was really cool because like Bantu knots, like your hairstyle. So I just kept saying Handtuch, and that's how I remembered it. And then we went to visit a palace, and there was like dirty water in this pool, and I said, "How do you say eel?" And she said Ickbush, and so I kept saying that over and over again. And I also learned how to say streetcar, which is Straßenbahn, and Bahn is street train. Sorry, Bahn is train, and Gesundheit, which is bless you. So.
Okay, wonderful. And did you learn any words, Reverend Carmen?
I did learn a few words, and I actually challenged every young person to learn 50 words by the end of the week.
Oh,
I don't know if they learn them, but I do think they understand it. So if I said Gabel, they would probably know what I'm talking about, right?
Gabel.
I did it at dinner every night, right?
I don't remember which one.
What does that mean?
Gabel is a fork. Mesa.
Of course.
Nice.
Nice.
Ha-ha.
Yeah.
That was
Oh, wonderful.
So I challenged them to try to learn 50 words, and I think they probably understood more than
milk
they
and
actually
milk. It's
learned.
milk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's coming back to them now.
Arm is arm.
Yes.
Yes. So we learned a lot of foods because we spent a lot of time communing as a group around food. I think the basics, cordial, please and thank you, how to go to a bathroom, how to ask for the bathroom, kind of. Yeah. And the difference between still vasa and vasa.
Well, still
Still
one.
water
Well,
and
yeah,
Regular
right.
water.
Yeah.
So I think we learned. I think we learned a lot of words too. So
we just don't know.
we just
You just didn't realize you learned that
and
much.
kirsch, church.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So tell us, how are German youth similar to you and different from you? Who wants to start off?
I'll start.
Okay.
They're the same. They're definitely the same. We definitely click just like we would with anybody in Chicago. They don't view certain things the same that we do. For instance, bike riding to them is normal. To us, taking the train is normal. To them, bike riding was just, everyone had a bike. They are used to camping a lot. They all had sleeping bags and sleeping mats. They just all had it. Food is a lot different. We all have to wait to eat together. So if I got something to drink and I started to drink before they said cheers, everyone will look at me like, what are you doing? So that was different. They definitely view church a lot different than we do. They don't go to church often at all. And to us, it's just like, are we going to church today? But for the most part, we're the same. For the most part, I might be missing something.
Yeah, I saw that German kids, from what I know about kids in America, that they're really not all that different. They act the same way. They can pretty much do some of the things. As far as camping and biking, yeah, they do a lot more outdoor activities than that we usually do. And I'm guessing because they were probably more used to it, they do it a lot. Being in the suburbs compared to us who are from the city, where it's more normal to take trains or cars or buses. So.
The German kids were actually a lot more similar to us than I expected. They listened to some of the same music, read some of the same books, watched movies, TV, etc. They knew how to have a lot of fun in their own kind of way, and that kind of shocked me a little bit. Also, as both Indigo and Khalil were talking about, they are more active than we are. How most countries are more active than we are, but because one person, one of the German kids, told me, she was like, wow, some of the Americans' kids seem so lazy on the trip because they are used to the bike rides, because most of them told me they ride their bikes every morning to school.
How many miles? How far?
Forever.
Forever?
It never ended.
All right, probably at least 10, 15 miles, I would assume. So that was an interesting comparison. Otherwise else, yeah, they weren't all that different. It was easy to have a conversation with them and get along with them and just compare the kind of things and people we liked.
Just like everyone else, I found them very similar to us. They loved Wi-Fi when we could get it. So when we could get Wi-Fi, we were all certainly huddled around our phones and our devices. What was interesting to me is I didn't see a lot of Germans get winded on the trip. They would definitely, when we had like water breaks and stuff, they would definitely stop and take advantage of it. But for the most part, this was like, this is just a warm up for me. It's whatever. And that was not the case with me at all. I remember that. Um, but overall, I mean, I think there's a lot alike between the two countries, and just want to chill out and have fun, and just be around each other and have positive vibes, I guess. So we were very similar in that aspect.
Okay. And Reverend Carmen?
I think they've already said some of the differences, the similarities and differences. I think there were more similarities than differences. I think where maybe some of our young people were challenged more physically, I think they might have also been challenged more spiritually, because sitting down, we had, every time we sat down to dinner, we would ask, we had groups, everyone was broken up into a group, and one group would lead the spiritual or social component, one group would lead the cooking, one group would lead the cleaning, and one group would do the shopping every night, since we were camping every night. And the social/spiritual group was in charge of leading the prayers, and it was always one of the Americans that led the prayers, because it didn't appear that the Germans, they might sit together and eat dinner, and I'm not saying that they don't know how to pray, but they seem to learn more from our young people as it related to their spirituality, and our young people might have learned more about the physical, being more active. So I think that was one of the maybe differences, that ours were more in tune and looking for where God was in their experiences and praying about those experiences. And again, some of the others were more into the physical aspect of it. So.
Yes. Also from the religious standpoint, a lot of the kids, a lot of the German kids that I had a conversation with, whether it be the ones that were with us or the friends of the people that I knew because of whatever activity that we did, they didn't have the most positive feedback of their church. They said that they just weren't excited in church, or that church service didn't appeal to them as much as it may do for me or for others here. So I think from a spiritual standpoint, it wasn't as lively as it could have been, but at the same time, I believe that they still are, they still are comfortable with their faith, and I think it helped. And I think us being around them, us being around each other, it was like an interesting two worlds to look at.
Yeah, I remember the first night that we were biking, so it might have been a few days after we actually got to Germany. And I remember we were sitting around after dinner, and I talked to one of the German youth, Vincent, and I showed him a YouTube video of Trinity. And they panned to the choir, and he didn't know it was a choir. He was like, wow, everyone's so lively and into it. I'm like, dude, that's just our choir. He's like, are you serious? Everyone looks like to be enjoying themselves, and the music is so good. It's like, yeah, it's like here, we don't really have a choir. It's very straightforward. It's very rigid, and he just seemed like amazed at what Trinity had to offer. And from, as everyone else said, from what I picked up, they might go to church a couple times a year. Like they really, they don't go as regularly as we do. They, one person said they only go for like big holidays and that kind of stuff. And, so they're not as active in their church, but they still have a connection with God, and I found that pretty interesting.
Okay. I just have something to add, because Kari said that they read a lot of the same books. I thought it was so funny the first night that we camped out. I pulled out the book I was reading, The Fault in Our Stars, a movie that just came out. And one of the girls who were laying next to me pulled out the same book, and she was from Germany, and she was like, oh, you're reading the same book as me. And I was like, yeah, we're reading the same book. And she's like, it's going to take me a lot longer, but, I just thought that was crazy, because that's really big in America. And so, like, for the social part, our social part of our lives to be the same across the world, which is completely crazy to me.
Did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. So I want to find a little bit more about, so I'm trying to understand. So you went and you stayed with the host family, and then you went camping every day and bicycling every day?
So our trip began, we were there a total of about 12 days. Really, 2 of those days were primarily traveling, so let's say 10 days. The first 2 days, each of the young people got to stay in their host family homes. And then the next 5 days, we rode along the Berlin Wall Trail. There's actually where the former Berlin Wall was. We rode a total of, say, anywhere between 5 and 16 miles a day along this path, and we would stop at historical sites or spiritual sites or sites of significance along the way. We also would have guests that would come and tell us about what happened at this particular site on the wall, or give us some insight into how they experienced it, because many of them were alive when the wall actually was built and when the wall actually came down. So actually this year, by the way, is the 25th anniversary of when the wall came down, November 9th as well. So we'd ride our bikes every day to whatever the next location was. So the first day we rode from point A in the city and rode to the church where we stayed. We stayed in a church. We camped out at the church, so sleeping bags, etc. So we stayed at 3 different churches and 1 school, all in various parts of the city to experience. One was more suburban church, another one was an urban church. The school was in what they call the free school, which was near a park and kind of central part of the city. And then the final place we stayed was in what they call an area that is lots more immigrants, so from Turkey and various other parts of the country. So we got a different experience in each of the locations. So we biked, then we returned to our host homes, and then we returned home. So we stayed another night or 2 in the host homes, and then back to Chicago.
Wonderful. Okay. So does anyone have any last thoughts that they want to share about the trip? Like, I guess, possibly how you have changed from traveling internationally, because you're rare people, you know. There are not a lot of African American youth that are traveling abroad, so you're part of a rare group. So how do you feel about your return? In what ways have you changed?
I know that for me it was a liberating, so I think it gave a more liberating feel, and it was also an indication to me that peace is possible. To watch how the wall in particular had come down peacefully. We asked at our final time together with all of the young people just how would they describe these last however many days it was, and then we asked them to choose 2 words, and they most of the time they chose a very positive word and then a word that contrasted very sharply with it. And I think for me that what that showed me is there's always kind of this tension as you watch just young people between what is positive and what might be perceived as. One of the words I heard too was character building, and that this experience was one that changed them and that it helped to build their character. I saw it change just from the outside. I saw it change many of our young people from maybe thinking that they couldn't to thinking that they can, to meeting goals just maybe subconsciously of knowing that they could all finish what they started. And that, to me, those are just some of the changes that I saw watching from the outside. Hopefully that gave them time to think of their own.
I think I changed a little bit physically, like, because first day we biked like 8 miles. The second day was like 20.
700.
It felt like 700, but it was 700. It was 20 miles, and I remember very vividly. At the end of the day, we had this, or when we were coming up on our church that we were staying at, we had this hill with cobblestone on it, and by the time I got up the hill, my quads were burning me. Like it literally felt like someone, took a match and put them on fire. But I think from that I want to really start exercising more, because I don't want to feel like that again. Like I don't want to, ever have to feel like, something is hurting that much on me. And then I think, I don't know. I made some really good friends over there, and I'm happy to be back, and I love my country, and I'm happy to be here. But at the same time, it's like, I want to still be able to have that connection with my friends, which is difficult over, Facebook or even texting, because it's a 7-hour difference. And so here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're just, you could be hanging out, just sitting around, and they're getting ready to go to bed, and that kind of stuff. So, as it was an incredible experience, and I don't know if I'll ever have something like that again, but it was. I definitely want to start being more active.
I think I changed from a social standpoint. It, after after we left, after we said goodbye for the final time, I think everybody felt a piece of them inside go away. That piece was being the connection you had with everybody that you met. So it just made me want to just stick with and just stay connected with the people I can and people I want to as well. Because it warmed my heart to see one of the people like literally stand on the airport with some others, and then even though they may not know which plane was ours, but they still waved goodbye to whichever plane was about to depart. So I think I just would just love to just stay connected with everybody I love.
Uh, I think I changed in a bit that I got a bit more physically stronger, barely being able to ride a bike when we got there and getting a lot better when I ended the trip. They were very encouraging, encouraging me to get back up when I fell, and I fell many times. So it was a very nice experience.
I think I changed in many aspects. One of those being how I view social media. I was never really wrapped up in social media, but when you're bored at home, I mean, all you really do is stay on the laptop. But going almost 2 weeks without having a Wi-Fi connection or being able to talk to people at home and just having no other option but to talk to people that you are around really helped me realize that there's so much more than to whoever celebrity's doing what or whatever's going on. And it really it gave me a lot of time just to think about what Reverend Carmen said. There was a wall in this city, and it came down peacefully. And we're currently fighting violence in Chicago. And so just being able to walk around that city and not have to fear anything, but maybe someone trying to sell me illegal drugs was just like, why can't this be Chicago? Like I had time away just to feel safe, and it just gave me inspiration, really. And I got a lot fit. I came back and I didn't want to eat anything sweet, mainly because of fatness up with Nutella. But really, I came back and I just wanted a home cooked meal. And yes, I want to go to the gym.
I think it's interesting everybody wants to work out now.
We discovered on Friday that you know, from the suburbs, of course, it was a lot safer in Chicago, but we discovered that actually, going into the city, it's actually not as safe as we believed. We went into the park and we.
Really girly.
Yeah.
That one part.
That one park.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing. When we went
What
into
happened in the park?
So we went into the park and we saw a lot of people who were a lot of black Germans, and we went in there and they said a lot of these guys are drug dealers.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are drug dealers, and she said, why can't this be Chicago? Well, it turns out we kind of were in Chicago for a bit.
Without the guns.
Yeah, because they don't have any guns, because that's why it's not Chicago. They don't have any guns. But, if they did, then it would probably be a bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was that one park that we were in, and we stopped for like a water break. I remember that pretty vividly, but like I think that entire time I agree with Indigo. There was like a really sense of like, peace, just walking around downtown and walking. We did stay in the suburb, but even like when we were riding our bikes through the city going to our school where we slept for 2 days, it was just like a sense of not even having to think about your surroundings really, like not even having to imagine something bad was going to happen. Like it was just it was good to get away for a little while. I'm not gonna lie, I miss my getting on Twitter and following the latest sports news. I'm a big sports junkie, so I have to disagree with Indigo for me. I really miss that. That was a big thing for me. But just being out there and connecting with other young people and like I said, making new and lifelong friends from that. I know Indigo particularly made a friend that was even in the States that we met over in Germany. So it was just a great experience for me.
Okay, so you mentioned that you saw black Germans who were drug dealers. Did you see any positive black Germans?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when we were on the subway, the underground trains, I saw some black Germans in suits. And I was like,
Okay.
so I'm like, see, everything's see something positive around here.
Okay, I'm glad to hear
So,
that.
yeah.
There weren't really
So
many
let's not totally diminish everything.
Okay.
I want to add to that. And we rode through different parts, as I mentioned, all the city, and we did see very positive models and images. It was a very diverse, I would say. We went to one park, actually. We stayed at one park where we ate the dinner sandwiches out in a park, maybe similar to maybe a Washington Park kind of a feel, where you heard music playing in one direction, and there was a lot of diversity. In fact, some of the young people started to make up stories about what they thought was happening. They'd see someone walk by and they'd make up a story about that person's life. So we did see a lot of diversity. As Khalil was mentioning, it was disheartening that as we rode through all these wonderful places where we felt safe, we got to one place where we saw the most African, or not African American, but black faces, obviously from different parts of maybe different parts of the diaspora. There, and that was the place we saw the most. I mean, we looked around and we saw more faces that looked like us, and one of them said, well, this is the place where you buy your drugs. And I asked for clarification. They said, no, really, and one of the host pastors said to me, he said, I would have you can go anywhere in this city and you would feel safe, but this is the one place where you would need to be with somebody. I would not let you walk in this area by yourself. So up until that point. So just to clarify, we saw lots and lots of positive places, and that was one of our final, as we were making it to our final destination, I believe, that we saw something. And Khalil made a very positive, he said, this is just kind of disheartening that this is the place that we have to see this. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody sharing. Reverend Carmen, Joshua, Corey, Khalil,
Yes.
and Indigo. I know a Kahil, that's why I'm struggling with your name, so I apologize. So I'm stuck on that. So I appreciate you all taking time out. Did anyone else want to share any last thoughts before we sign off? Okay.
Again, to just finish what I was saying earlier, it was just wonderful to see the kind of connection we all have with each other. Because towards the last days of the trip, all the people from Germany, at least most of them, kept saying, "Oh, we're going to try to come to America in 2016. We're planning to try to come to America 2016." And that's just something nice to hear, that they're making an effort. They're trying to reach a goal. They're trying to set a goal to come here and see us again. So I just like that aspect.
Yeah, so I think the day that I'm going to remember most was we went bike riding, and then we came back to our school. And so, yeah, our school where we slept. And so we went there, and then afterwards we went swimming. And after we went swimming, we went to a very nice restaurant. We all sat around 2 hours, ate, and just sat there and talked. And on the way, and we decided to walk home instead of taking the public transportation. And so on the way back, we were kind of saying how we were one big adoptive family that was moving from place to place, and we were, we didn't have beds. We all had sleeping mats, and we slept on the floor, and we were just kind of making a big joke of it. And
we're excited to eat in a restaurant.
Yeah, we were so excited to eat in a restaurant. We didn't know what a pillow was, that kind of stuff. And then And then later that night, Kari preached a sermon out on the balcony.
You preached a sermon?
There is no highway.
Sure.
Save the preacher for pastor.
Yeah, there is no highway.
It was just a quick.
That was the funniest night I've had in a while. That was, oh my goodness, like that was.
That's wonderful. And Reverend Carmen, last word.
I think just in closing, it was for me just a pleasure to watch all of the young people grow, as I mentioned earlier, to see how they connected with others that were not maybe typically someone they would run into on an average day, and to see how it was travel that brought that experience for them. Their willingness to move out of their comfort zones, you know, to do things that they had never done before. As they already mentioned, many of them hadn't rode a bike in nowhere near the distances that they had ridden. Many of us had never been camping, definitely not sleeping in a school, and all of that was because we were willing to travel outside of our comfort zone. So I think it was a pleasure to watch them all grow in different ways, and to see them have highs and lows, but to get through all of it, and to at the end be able to say, I finished it all, and I was able to do it in one piece, and to bring them all back, and to see how safe they felt, to see them move from maybe an environment where they're not as safe to laughing and enjoying each other and connecting with others. So that it was a privilege and honor.
Okay, thank you. This is the Skychi Travel Guide Live, and Janice, Skychi Travels, every Travel Tuesday, 1 p.m. Central on UBM Talk. And this has been an interview with the Trinity United Church of Christ Chicago Youth Group and Reverend Carmen Frederick. Ciao!